Yields back. Chair now recognize Mr. Grothman from Wisconsin.
I represent Wisconsin. I think a lot of people don't know it, but Wisconsin has the highest percentage of manufacturing jobs in the country. Did you know that, Administrator Reagan?
I did.
Man, that's my type of guy. That's great. Okay, so we have a little bit of a problem, though, with our Wisconsin manufacturing along Lake Michigan. Milwaukee County, the counties to the north of there, Ozaukee, Sheboygan County, and that it's ruled non-attainment because of high ozone levels. Now, those ozone levels only occur in certain days along Lake Michigan, and it's something to do about the interaction of the sun and the lake and that sort of thing. And even insofar as there's pollution on Lake Michigan, most of that pollution comes up from Chicago or even further south. So in other words, even if there are no factories in Milwaukee or the counties north of there, we might be in non-attainment. And because we're in non-attainment, it results in having to do things like having special tests on your car. Maybe if you're somebody who can't afford a new car, you're really getting harmed because you might have to spend $1,000 to get your car up to snuff when, the amount of pollution is minimal anyway. So I always feel this thing really disproportionately affects the poor person who, if I have a new car for 5 years, I'll pass that thing no problem. Right. But if I have an old car, like I said, it may be pay $800 or get your pay $8,000 or get yourself a new car. Are you guys working towards or have a plan towards getting places like Milwaukee and the surrounding area back in attainment so our factories do not have to be at a competitive disadvantage, not only with the rest of the country, but the rest of the world?
We do, and I'm very sympathetic to what you just laid out. I witnessed that time and time again in North Carolina. The plan that we had in place to begin to help places like Milwaukee, the Supreme Court just shut it down. I believe that when air pollution comes from another state and impacts a state, that state should not be penalized. And so our good neighbor rule was designed to stop pollution from coming across borders and being an economic disruptor or health disruptor for other states. We'll continue to work with our state agencies to be sure that when we look at high ozone action days or ozone pollution, that we can properly assess where it's coming from so that we're not penalizing the wrong people.
I'd be happy to work with you. And like I said, my heart goes out to the people who can't afford a new car. They buy a 7 or 8 year old car with 200,000 miles on it. They flunk the test, and the government comes down and, nails them, and they got to pay $2,500, $3,000. So hope you do something about that. Okay. Now, in October of last year, a group of trade associations representing at least 70,000 small firms engaged in the production of formaldehyde sent you a letter asking you to establish a small business advisory panel. And I think that's because whenever new regulations come out, they disproportionately affect small business. You haven't acted yet to establish such a council. Is that something you'd consider doing to look out for the little guy or at least get their viewpoint as the rules are being promulgated?
Let me check back with my staff so I can take a look at that letter and also to see if our top political in that office has also given it any thought, and we'll circle back with you.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here today, by the way. Previously, the Environmental Protection Agency told Congress it would consider all credible and readily available assessments. And this is with regard to the TSCA risk evaluation of formaldehyde based on IRIS value. Despite this promise, why has the EPA decided to rely on the IRIS value for ethylene oxide, formaldehyde, and other chemistries and ignore other regulation?
So if I believe I understand your question correctly, IRIS is just one of the tools that we use in the regulatory process. Now, IRIS is very valid and is used and respected by states and federal agencies and international bodies. So that IRIS value and the work that goes into that is widely accepted, but it's one tool in our toolbox as we make determinations on chemicals.
Okay, at least I'm told you have a value for ethylene oxide that's 19,000 times lower than naturally occurring levels of ethylene oxide in the human body. In other words, you're looking for a tolerance that is just tiny. You know, I mean, we would be more worried about what's naturally occurring in my body. Could you, I guess, could you look at that stuff again, see if you feel you guys are going a little bit overboard, and then look and see what they're doing in other countries? Because it's very frustrating when I have the businesses in my office explaining, these are the standards in Europe, these are the standards in Asia. Why is it so much more almost impossible standards that our businesses in America have to live under?
Yes, let me get our staffs together and we can go through that.
Yep, I'll give you a call, and again, thanks for coming over here. Really appreciate it.
Looking forward to your call.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr.